Retirement feels scary because it seems like your net worth will start shrinking, like the clock's ticking and the money slowly slipping away. But for a surprising number of retirees, the opposite happens. Their wealth actually keeps growing, sometimes a lot, and it feels completely backwards. How can your net worth increase after you stop working? Yet, the facts point in that direction, and the reasons behind it catch most people off guard. If you're planning for retirement, understanding this could change everything. You've probably heard of the famous 4% rule for retirement, but few people fully understand it. The idea is simple. If you withdraw 4% of your savings every year, adjusted for inflation, your portfolio should last at least 30 years. That rule is based on back testing across decades of stock and bond returns, including the most brutal times like the Great Depression and the 1970s stagflation era. It was designed as a worst-case safe withdrawal guideline. And the guy who created it, Bill Ben, later said that in normal conditions, people could actually withdraw closer to 5%. The original 4% figure is actually conservative. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. A huge myth about retirement is that your expenses are going to skyrocket. People imagine endless travel, fancy restaurants, a calendar packed with activities, and ballooning healthcare costs. That fear of spending more is what makes so many people worry they'll run out of money. But the data tells a very different story. As the years go on, most retired people actually spend less, not more. Actually, spending typically goes down significantly, and not for the reasons you might think. Let's put the numbers to it. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, households aged 65 to 74 spend around $65,000 per year. By the time people are 75 and older, that drops to about $53,000. That's a huge difference, more than $12,000 less every year, or almost a 20% reduction. And when you zoom out even more, you see the pattern clearly. The average household in the US, regardless of age, spends about $77,000 per year, but retirees spend much less than that. Now, why does spending go down? A few reasons. First, the obvious one, travel. A lot of people dream of spending retirement on the road, taking cruises, exploring the world, finally checking off bucket list trips. times get tough. In reality, if you're only taking out around 4% each year, your investments will almost always grow faster than inflation. Historically speaking, that 4% is conservative. It's designed to survive even the roughest economic stretches, not your typical market conditions. And again, this is based on history. And here's where the psychology kicks in. Most people entering retirement overestimate what they'll spend. They plan for the high end and they live on the low end. Combine that with decades of saving habits, frugality, the satisfaction of watching net worth and portfolios grow, and the natural fear of running out of money, and retirees almost always withdraw less than they technically could. This is why net worth can actually take off after retirement. With portfolios not being fully tapped, growth can be exponential. Researchers call this the consumption gap. Retirees could spend more, but they don't. By underspending, their investments keep compounding. And decades later, they've grown their wealth and by a lot instead of seeing it dwindle. Picture this. You retire with $1 million and plan to withdraw 4% per year. That's $40,000 on top of Social Security. But in reality, your expenses end up being lower than expected. So, you only take out around 2%. Your total income might end up around $68,000 with average Social Security income. Still above the typical spending for someone 65 to 74. Because your withdrawals are so modest, you leave the rest invested entirely in the S&P 500, which historically averages about 10% annually. Over time, that portfolio grows much faster than you'd expect. By year 10, it could easily be over $2 million, even if you gradually increase your withdrawals by 4% every year. Even real estate works in retirees' favor. Home values in the U.S. have historically grown about 3 to 5% per year. Many retirees own their homes outright so that equity just sits there appreciating while their actual spending declines. So when you put this all together, conservative withdrawal assumptions, natural spending declines, Social Security, and the psychological reluctance to spend down savings, it becomes clear why retirees often grow wealth instead of losing it. Of course, this doesn't mean everyone. There are plenty of people who retire with very little and struggle financially. But for those who enter retirement with even a modest nest egg, the data shows a consistent pattern. They're more likely to end with more money than less. Everyone worries about running out of money, but with a smart, well-planned retirement, your net worth can actually skyrocket, which makes the bigger risk, not running out, but underspending out of fear and missing out on life while you're still healthy enough to enjoy it.